Hey, Jay, welcome to Automate All the Things. I'm excited to have you here.
Hey, I'm stoked to be here. This feels amazing.
Yeah. Well, how do we know each other? You are a friend from the Twitterverse, I guess. How did this come to
Yeah,
be?
Twitter. Got to be Twitter. That's how I know like everybody these days. I'm increasingly two-dimensional. I'm online and that's pretty much it. Online and in this basement.
Well, that's 2020 and 2021 for you. I know you and I know what you do, but maybe we'll do an intro for everyone kind of joining us today. We've got Travis, Colleen, Steven, got some familiar faces. So say hi in the chat. But I think, Jay, a good place to start is tell folks a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm a creator. Mostly I'm hosting podcasts these days. I host a show
Mhm.
called Creative Elements where I talk to high-profile creators about how they made a living from their art and creativity. People like Seth Godin and James Clear and Vanessa Van Edwards and Tim Urban.
Mhm.
Instead of talking about their work, I talk about how did you actually get to make a living from the things that you make. It's very fun. I also lead community at SPI, Smart Passive Income, company started by Pat Flynn back in 2008. But yeah, spent a lot of my time just making stuff, writing, podcasting, workshops, courses. Not unlike you, Aaron.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I don't I don't know if I consider myself a creator. Maybe a creator of workflows. I do enjoy the streaming part, but
Oh
I
man,
guess
you are
I'm
definitely.
bundled in this creator world now.
Yeah, creator. I feel like creator is a broad term for sure. I think it encapsulates a lot of things. Like I would say you are 100% a creator. The things that you make are incredible. You're streaming right now. This is like advanced creator stuff.
Well, I appreciate that. So, what as two creators, we'll call ourselves that for the rest. So let us know in the chat if you consider yourself a creator. We're definitely going to do some creator workflows here. So, you came to me with a workflow, like I would say the essence of automate all the things, where you asked me to like automate something quite crucial and quite fun. So tell the folks today, like what are we going to automate today?
Yeah, I had this idea last week that whenever I tweet more, I get more followers and I meet new people and good things happen. And so I asked myself, why don't I just tweet more? But it's really easy to get distracted by, frankly, probably more important work than tweeting. And so I thought to myself, I just want to have a mechanism to force myself to make one good tweet a day. That's all I'm going to ask of myself. One good tweet a day that I think is worthwhile and helpful for other people. And then I realized, oh, I bet some of my friends would be in on this too. So I asked them, and everyone I told this to, they're like, yes, I would love some sort of forcing function to just
Hmm.
tweet more. So I'm creating a rolling 100-day challenge called Tweet 100. Tweet100.com is active now. And as a part of making that work better, I wanted to create a bit of a leaderboard so people could see how many days in a row have I tweeted. Um, and also might be able to link to those tweets so that people can support each other. I thought that would be a really fun public thing. And a
Hmm.
spreadsheet could handle that if I trusted people to only edit their own data and not mess around with other people's data, which I just don't. I just don't. I don't trust people to not do that. So I was looking for a way to create a leaderboard that people could control their data, they could see it, but it would be safe from other people kind of playing bad actor.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm hearing a few things. So the goal is you sign up to this 100 days of Twitter and you tweet multiple times a day, but in one of those, you want it to be like your 100 days of Twitter tweet, right?
Yes, yes. I would like that person to be able to just hashtag it, hashtag tweet 100, so they know that that counts as the tweet that I made today that I want to be counted in this 100-day challenge. And the
Got it.
leaderboard should show how many days in a row have you done that all the way up to 100.
Okay. Okay, got it. Then it's rolling. So essentially someone signs, we're going to get into the workflow here, but your goal is just to get people to tweet more. And I actually think it's pretty cool. I was I think I'm on like 8 years of Twitter, and I have been on Twitter for 8 years. I've only been tweeting for two. So had this happened to me maybe 10 years ago, I'd have met, increasingly more interesting people like yourself. So, and I'm really excited about this workflow. Let us know in the chat if you've done any type of Twitter automation. I know that there's people love scraping Twitter because it's got a very open API. But what I particularly like about this one is that it's one of those workflows that you don't feel like you can automate, but we're actually going to fully automate it, right?
Amazing.
Hopefully, if all goes well. Okay, so let's dive in. Let's go into sharing my base here. Boom. So folks should see my base now. And then let me get you as well. Now you, Jay, should see my screen. Everyone's good to go. Okay. So let me bring up the agenda for today. Oh no. There we go. Okay. So our first step is the base structure, right? So how do we get new members, new active people into 100 days of Twitter? And then how do we track their tweets in an automated fashion, right? At least we're going to give the structure, like what do we want to track for each tweet? Then we're going to create a form for people to sign up to 100 days of Twitter. And then we're going to do like the actual magic. The magic is how do we automate when someone signs up to be able to track their tweets, after that, right? And then once we're tracking the tweets, how do we actually have a leaderboard that automatically updates that says, hey, you actually tweeted in that day? And finally, I'm going to kind of open it up to Q&A. So folks who are new here, Q&A is throughout. I have a dedicated section at the end, but you're doing the work of coming live. So feel free to ask questions throughout. Jay, you're more than welcome to ask questions throughout. How familiar are you with Airtable?
Fairly familiar, but I've never wrote any scripts. I'm getting a little bit better at lookups and all the relational things. So it's not my first rodeo, but I definitely feel like an amateur sitting next to you.
Rodeo. Yeah. Interesting. I never heard that before.
Rodeo.
Rodeo?
Not my first rodeo.
Rodeo.
Yeah. Same word.
Listen, I've never been to a rodeo or a rodeo, and probably you have. So I shouldn't. I just love it. Okay. Okay. Base structure. More important things. Base structure. Okay. So tell me, so we want a member, a list of people who have signed up. I've called that member. Let me know if that makes sense for you. Yeah. What are some of the elements you want to track for each of your members who sign up?
I would love to see their username.
A Twitter username?
Twitter username.
Okay. So I'm gonna put that as a primary field, right? And we'll use you as an example, right? So, and myself, and let's maybe give ourselves a third, a guy called Jeff. He got a really good username, but doesn't tweet very often, right? So name is going to be our username. Actually, let's call this username. That makes sense. Username. Great. Okay. What else do you think you want to know about each person who has signed up?
I think it'd be good to get their first and last name if they wanted to provide it. I don't think I'll make it required, but I like that personal touch.
Got it. So I'm adding single line text, right? And let's fill it out for ourselves. What else? While I'm doing this, what else do you kind of comes to mind? Doesn't really have to be much more, does it?
No, I mean, probably email address, but when people sign up for the challenge, they will sign up with their email first.
Right.
So I'll already have that, but it would be nice to sync this a little bit.
Absolutely. Thanks, Colleen, for the reminder to hide the agenda. And I rely on you all to remind me of that. Appreciate that. That's awesome. Okay, so it doesn't feel like we need much more than this, right?
Right.
We can kind of add as we go along. Now, one thing I will add is when did they sign up, right? And that's going to be the timer for the 100 days, right? So in Airtable, you can use this created time. So signed up at, and created time tells you when the record was created, right? So this tells you that this one was created earlier today, and then we just created 2 records a moment ago. It's automated. So whenever you create a record, it'll automatically give you that created time. And that'll be useful when we get to the form section. Okay, so this feels about right. Okay, let's talk about tweets. So let's get a tweets table. And then primary key here, I actually think the easiest for now would be the username again. And why is that eventually we're going to have to match records from the members to the tweets. So it kind of makes sense. So I'm going to call this, let's keep it to name just so we can differentiate the two. We probably want like what the tweet is, right? The tweet itself.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like just a URL. It'd be good.
URL,
we
yeah.
could get the whole body. We could get the whole body of the tweet, but it'd be good to have the URL.
Got it. And not that much else, right? Like you're just kind of, you want the existence of the tweet and only have the tweets that have the right hashtag. So I think the body of the tweet URL, the name, and I'm going to add a created time as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
So, tweeted at, right? And let's give this another created time. Okay. So this so far is making sense. It's kind of weird because we don't really have tweets just yet, but Zapier is going to be the one. Let's maybe just give ourselves like a tweet for me. Let's fake a tweet. This is a tweet. And then just go twitter.com just so we have something here. Okay. I will now link my tweet to the members, right? So create a relationship between members and tweets so that we know when someone tweets, we're able to associate those two things. Mm-hmm. The way I'm going to structure this is not necessary, but it is useful, right? So let's go ahead and link to our members. And I'm going to link this to myself. And let's say you've got a tweet here.
And you had that set so it could link to multiple records, which makes sense here because someone will have up to 100 records, right?
Well, no, in this, you're actually right. That's a mistake I made. So we should not allow to multiple records because every tweet should only be associated to one member.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Okay.
So you're on the other side. It is a multi, I can have multiple tweets from one member. So here, that's okay. So here we can actually allow link to multiple records, but on this side, it should be a one-to-many relationship. It should be each tweet should have one member can have multiple tweets.
Got it.
Okay. So actually our base does not need to be more complicated than this, right? And the reason is that we can have a view that is the leaderboard, right? Which is filtering for those who have signed up less than 100 days ago, right? So that's our current. So let's create a field that is active. And we're going to create a formula that says, is the signed up date less than 100 days away? So we're just going to do a date-time diff. And we're going to go.
This is magic. Knowing these formulas is incredible.
Are you a pro, or is this, would you have thought of this or no?
No, I would not have.
Okay. Awesome. So we're saying from the sign up date to today, right? What is the difference in days? Let's just create that field. It should be 0 for all of these, right? So let's just create a condition that says, is that less than 100? That should turn into 1 because it's true for all of these, right? Let me zoom in here for folks like that. And then we create a filter that says, if active equals 1, then you are active. So past the 100 days, you're out. So, and this is what you would share. So let's give username. And we forgot one field that's super important, which is days tweeted.
Yeah, I was just going to throw this out at you. Days tweeted is obviously important, but if somebody doesn't tweet, I don't want to take them down to 0. I'd love to see, could we show a progress or like a proportion? Like,
yeah. I mean,
number of days out of 100 or number of days since they've joined.
Yeah. So this is how I'm thinking of this field. So this field will be from the day you signed up, how many of the days did you tweet? And then you could make it a percentage, right? And this will always be less than 100 because you can't tweet. We won't count more than one tweet. And so So we're going to go ahead and keep this as days tweeted, and it doesn't have to be consecutive, right?
Got it. Okay.
Okay. So days tweeted, and this is your leaderboard, right? So you share this, right? Boom. You can, make it much nicer. You can put it into Webflow. But at the base, everyone who's going to sign up is going to be here. And then we're going to have the number of days that they've tweeted, and you're trying to hit 100. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Yeah, I think it would be good also to add, and I can do this afterwards because I'm going to get like row happy here, but it'd be good to add, like if I tweeted 90 times in 95 days, I would want to know like, or if I tweeted 90 times in 90 days, like there's a consecutive days tweeted and then there's the total, number of tweets.
Yeah, so that's actually easy. You would just create a date-time diff from today to the moment they signed up. That gives you a whole number of days. And then we'll compare days tweeted over that number to see progress. You can create formulas for all of those. So that's really not a problem. Let me know in the chat if I'm going too quickly, because I know that we have some like awesome stuff coming. So I want to kind of make sure that everyone's on good foundations, that they've got good baseline. I'm trying to put more puns into the stream. So we've got our leaderboard. So that was kind of step one, right? So now we have our base structure. Very simply, where we can go from here, let's just create a form for sign up, right? So that's going to be step 2 here. And I will quickly just create a quick form. Boom. Just creating a view, which is a form. So sign up to 100 days of Twitter. Let's remove all the fields. What I want is your Twitter username, your first, your last name, and your email. That's it. Boom. So I'll let you style this a little nicer post-stream. I don't know if I should have made that a step. It's quite quick, right? So we just created our form. I can drop that. I'll drop it. I'll send it to you later. Actually, you're going to copy this. So I want to drop it in the chat, but I'm worried that also some people are just going to start willingly filling it out, which you don't necessarily want. Okay, so that's step 2. So far, we haven't done much automating, right? We're just kind of create a base structure, create a form. Now let's talk about the Twitter part. So when someone signs up, what is the outcome that you want, right? So how did you think about tracking folks on Twitter?
It would be good to see them in a list, because then I can interact with them and support them on that. I want to use the hashtag tweet100 so I can find them and see that happening, and people can understand what's happening, but it might also be helpful with the automation. I'm not sure. But yeah, mostly I want to get them into this so they can take advantage of the leaderboard and use that as motivation.
Awesome. I also just updated the hashtag on the stream to tweet100. Right. So good to go. There we go. Love it. Okay. So the workflow that you would want in is someone signs up as a member, gets added to a list, and then we track that list for every tweet that has that hashtag. Right.
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to go over to Zapier, right? Where we can kind of translate that automation into Zaps. So the first thing you said is person signs up. So new record is created in Airtable. Add that user to a list. Second automation would be when a new tweet in that list has the hashtag tweet100, track that tweet, add it to Airtable. Okay.
Yes, and associate it with the right member.
Associate with the right member, absolutely. Yes. And then there's going to be, the challenge comes after that for folks who are kind of trying to foreshadow where we're going. So I'm in Zapier. So for folks who are new here, Zapier is a tool that is a kind of if this, then that. You're very familiar with it, Jay. Lets you have triggers and actions similar to Airtable automations. So our first one we said is when a record is created in Airtable, new record in my Airtable account. This thing is called 100 Days of Twitter. I'll change that later. Base is 100 Days of Twitter. And the table that you need to have a record created in is the members table. Members table. Boom. Let's test that. We should see either Jeff, Aron, or yourself. Jeff. Jeff came up. Okay.
Good old Jeff.
Let me see if I can get another one. Okay, I have all three records actually. Let's get one that has a real username, right? So your username. Actually, let's go with your username. That's fine. Continue. And then in Twitter, we want to go ahead and add user to list. So this is the trigger. This is what we want the automation to do. Oh man, I have to say, Jay, I'm really worried that people are going to watch this and add me to a bunch of lists in an automated fashion after this.
It doesn't hurt you. It fills up your notifications a little bit, but it's not a bad thing.
I am already on too many no-code lists. Like that is, if you look on lists, I can show you lists I'm on.
You need to create a leaderboard that counts how many no-code lists you're on.
Like, we were talking about could we just put everyone on one list? Like, just everyone should be on the one no-code list.
We got like a dedupe function here for Twitter lists.
Twitter should build one for sure. So I created a test list right here. And right now it's only got you, but let me remove you. Let me see how I can remove someone from a list.
Oh, everybody's seeing how I was in the wrong Zoom room to start. I'm so embarrassed.
Let me remove you. There you go. Boom. Okay. So now there's no one in my list. So there's a good question from Colleen. Sending a tweet when person completes the form. That can also be automated. We'll put that at the end, Colleen. That's a great question. Having a tweet from you welcoming that person is a cool idea. We can automate that as well. So we want to add you to the test list, and the username, your username, is from the record, right? So username is Jay Clouse. Klaus? Klaus, good.
Now, does the username need to have an @ symbol?
We'll see. I don't know. If not, we'll add. Okay, no. So it does not need to add an @ symbol. There's two things you can do for that. One is in the form, mention it. So say like, do not include your @. But then, because people won't read it, because that's the nature of forms and people, you can have a formula that uses like regex or regex to remove any @ symbols, or just so if someone puts it at the end or whatever, you can remove it in Airtable and use that field for your automation. Okay? Okay. So we should have now you in my list. There you go. You're back on my list. You're one member. So you are on my test list now. And so this will be automated now, right?
Crazy.
Turn on the Zap. Okay, I do not want to share it. Actually, I will share it if folks want to use it. So I'm going to share that. There's always a formula for everything, Stephen. If there's not a formula, there's a script.
Share that formula with me, Steven. I'm going to need it.
Okay, so that's actually the first Zap. Like it was as easy as that. Now, anyone who fills out the form is a part of our list. And now we see that we want to go ahead and track the tweets coming from members on this list, right? And something that's particular, we only want to track members that have specific elements in their list, so namely the hashtag. So Jay, how about go ahead on Twitter and give us a tweet 100 tweet that we will have it in the list. And as you're doing that, I'm going to kind of configure the Zap to start tracking every tweet. So this is new member add to list. Pro tip, I've started like using the trigger and the actions in the descriptions of my Zaps and Airtable automations, just so like it's easier to understand instead of like automation 1 and automation 2. Trying to live a more organized life.
Here's a question for you. As I'm typing that tweet that I just sent, will capitalization matter?
Good question. Life, it's up to you. Do you want it to matter?
I want it to not matter.
Okay. So yes, we can make it not matter. We can do whatever we want, Jay. This is a
We can automate all the things.
Right, exactly. It's a space where the laws don't apply. So our next step here. So remember, we did our first app, which was new member created, added to a list. Our second step is like track every tweet that's emanating, I guess, or being tweeted by members of the list, and then filter for those that have the hashtag, and then send those tweets to Airtable so we can track whether or not folks have in fact tweeted. So our next zap is to go to Twitter as our first application, our trigger. And then I have tweet in list. Now, a lot of you will say, well, why don't you just search the mention? Because people outside of our list may be also tweeting about it. And I don't want to capture those. I want people to go through the funnel.
And I have seen that people have used that hashtag before, seemingly very randomly. So I'm glad we're making this filter.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and go tweet in list. And let's go to there we go. Boom, boom, boom. Test. Boom. Let's test. Let's see. Did you give us a tweet? Awesome.
You bet I did.
Tweet 100. Boom. Okay. So let's see what we get about this. We get the full text. We get the created time, which we're tracking in Airtable. We've got everyone who gets mentioned in an array. We've got the URL somewhere here.
It breaks down hashtags underneath entities and will give you the text of the hashtag.
Oh, yeah, we can totally do that. There you go. I will say that I'm worried about this because let's say you have 3 hashtags before. I won't know which position it's in. Right? So if it's the third position, it's harder for me to say. In Zapier is not great at saying if any of the hashtags is tweet 100, filter on that. So I wouldn't actually use this as like my filter.
Okay.
I would actually just go with the whole text and have Zapier check whether it includes tweet 100. There we go. Okay, it's even got follower counts. You can track follower counts over time if you're interested, right? Like, so you in the tweets.
Interesting. Oh, wow. I could measure people's growth through the challenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
What?
Yeah. You can have, cool, right? Yeah, we hadn't thought of that. You can get where people are tweeting from. So you can create a map in Airtable of where everyone's tweeting from.
It's so interesting in Twitter's metadata, they call following friends.
Oh, yeah. That's probably like a remnant from like 2007 or whatever, right? Or whenever Twitter. You can also get URL images. So in your members, if you want to add the image, you can get their profile images, things like that, whatever. There's a bunch of stuff here. We only care about whether they've tweeted or not. So that's just food for thought. That's a future thing. So here we want to filter, right? So we want text contains tweet 100. Now, you said like, oh, but what if they, made a capital T, whatever. What I would do, and you can do this, we'll come back to it post-stream. You have a formatter by Zapier where you can take text and make it all lowercase, right? So we'll do this at the end if we have time. You could create a new field or a new variable that is like lowercase hashtag, and where it takes the whole tweet and makes it all lowercase. And that way you can then filter on it. Does that make sense?
Does that get created in Airtable or in some like Zapier purgatory?
It's in Zapier purgatory.
Okay.
But you get the full text tweet in Airtable anyway, right? So it's not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see if that would have worked. Your Zap would have continued. That's awesome. Boom, boom, boom. Thanks, Stephen, for the formula in the chat. So if folks are wondering, how do I remove the @ symbol? Stephen, looking at the formula looks right. Good job, Stephen. Appreciate that. Amazing. Okay, so next step here, we're filtering for those that have the hashtag. Now we want to send to Airtable. Easy peasy. Airtable, boom. We're going to create a record in our tweets table. Let's go to Airtable. Let's go to 100 days of Twitter. Let's go into our tweets table. And then we're just kind of mapping the different fields to the elements from the tweet, right? So if we see this, I want Jay Clouse, this right here, the little @ to be the name. The body of the tweet goes here. The URL of the tweet goes here. And then I associate it to the right member, which is just inputting their username. So we can link it back. Okay. So let's go ahead and input that. Making sense so far? You're a Zapier user, right?
Yeah, this is awesome. This makes a lot of sense. I'm also just in awe of how fast your computer is.
Okay. Well, in what sense? Really? I find my computer to be very slow.
I don't know. Things seem to be loading like now. It's all happening quickly.
So there might be an IT request for a better computer. So if you work at Airtable IT, I would appreciate you to skip what Jay just said and just note that my computer's not running as fast as it seems on the stream. But I do like, it is very, luckily you can't hear it, but like my computer is like screaming at me, like, why are you running so many things at once?
It sounds like an airplane taking off.
Exactly. So we're filling out the name. Then we're going to go ahead and get the body of the tweet. So go here, full text. Let's see if they have like full text. Seems like there's a difference. I would rather it to have full text. I'm not sure what the difference between text and full text is. Tweet URL. Let's search for URL. URL of the tweet. Tweeted @ is created automatically. And then member is a linked record. But what you need to know about a linked record is if you input the primary field, like Jay Clouse, Airtable is automatically going to try to find the username and associate it. If it can't find it, it's going to go ahead and create that record. We don't have to, like, we know it's going to find something, right? Because we know that it's an existing user. And Airtable doesn't, I don't think it cares about capitalization, but that's something we can check. Okay, let's test that out. Boom. A record was just created, and we see Jay Clouse. Let's make this a little larger. Boom. We've got you. We've got your tweet. We've got the URL that we can click into, so you can go ahead and retweet this stuff. We have a created time, and we're associated to the right member. Right, so you have 2 tweets now. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, I think that's a success, folks. I think we can do a little bit of...
That's awesome.
We're going to do some confetti here. I feel like that's a big moment. So Jay, we've got some confetti streaming down. This is already a pretty cool workflow, if you ask me.
This is already a pretty cool workflow. You're absolutely right.
So now is the hard part. And the part I've been a little worried about, I will be honest, is, well, what if Jay tweeted like 50 times? Which Jay does, right? And I do. Or they're trying to game the system, right? We don't want it to count every tweet, right? So we only wanted to count one tweet every 24 hours. So, a reflex that I had was like, oh, let's create a number of tweets, which is a count field of tweets. But then Jay tweeted twice in 24 hours, and that's no bueno. Jay only gets 1 point every 24 hours. So this is where the hard stuff comes in. Not the hard stuff, but the use your brain stuff. I saw you had a question there, Jay. Are you thinking about this?
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking ahead here from like just a layman's situation. Like, let's say I get my tweet in today at 6 p.m. and then tomorrow I do it at noon. 24 hours will not have passed, but in my mind, I would count that as 2.
Right.
So I feel like you're going to do some math here, and I'm wondering if that's going to box us in.
No. So I'm going to assume that you have a calendar 24 hours, right? Doesn't have to be, see a penny. You don't have to be, as long as in a calendar day, you tweet once. It doesn't matter if it's at 3 a.m. It doesn't, like, you can tweet once at midnight, 5 minutes before midnight, and again at 10 minutes past midnight, and you're good to go.
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. So the first thing we need to kind of do is we have active members, right? So we have active members, which is just checking whether they've signed up in the last 24 hours. So let's do the same thing here, which is, was this tweet today? Because we're going to have tweets from not tomorrow. That'd be weird. But like from 2 weeks ago or things like that. So we need to say, is it today? Right? And what we're going to do is the same thing we did before. Usually, if this was a different setting, Jay, I would ask you to write this formula, but I'm not going to do that.
Gosh.
So we're going to say date time diff between tweeted at. Actually, there's a better way of doing this, not date time diff, which will take less resources, which is no, let's do it like this. But the better way to do it is actually probably saying, is the day of tweeted at equal to the day of today? That should return 1 for all of them. Yeah, okay, great. So this is actually much less intensive. This just says, is the day of tweeted at right here today? Boom. Today is just a function that returns, today. And you're taking the day of that, and you're just saying, is it equal to this? So every 24 calendar hours, it's going to update, and this will be 0. So if we want today's tweets, we can go ahead and filter where today is equal to 1. Now, all of our tweets were today, and I can't change that because I can't change the created time. But I promise you tomorrow this will be 0. So they will not be in this view. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing, let me know if that makes sense, folks, in the chat. I'm sorry, I'm going a little quickly because I know we have to write a script and we've got about 15 minutes. So the next thing to do is, for the number of days tweeted, I need to go into these linked records, right? Into Jay's 2 records right here and count 1. And so even if you've tweeted 10 times, let's only count 1. So we're going to use a script that literally, for every member that is active, goes through today's tweets and does +1 to days tweeted if we find that person has tweeted. Otherwise, it's not going to add it. Make sense?
Makes sense. Sounds like crazy magic, but I'm excited to see this script in action.
It's weirdly difficult. Not difficult. It's like weirdly unintuitive, right? But we did a Learn Airtable scripting series. This is actually the same thing as finding duplicates, right? So you're saying, take every record, try to find a record with the same username. The only difference is you're not looping in the same table, you're looping in a different table. So duplicate and finding whether someone has tweeted is exactly the same thing. Awesome. So Colleen's on board. Love it. Let's see how my scripting skills are. So I'm happy you're warming up too, Jay. That's good. So every day, so what we want to do is run this script every day. And I'm running it 15 minutes before midnight Eastern time. You can make that like more precise. You can run it at midnight. But I was worried that if you run it at midnight, tweet it at might update. So I wanted to give us the buffer of like 15 minutes so that if you're running it at midnight and it runs at midnight 001, you're actually looking at no tweets. So 15 minutes before, you can let folks know that they have until 11:45 to tweet. And then let's write some code. Okay, so I have the script. It's about 30 lines of code, but I'm going to attempt to rewrite it all, live. And I might regret those words. So the first thing we want to do is get records from both views, right? So from the active members view, and then from the last day's tweets view, right? And then we want to loop through and identify members that have tweeted in the last 24 hours. Does that make sense so far?
Makes sense.
And then we're going to increment their days tweeted. Right? So we're going to update their records and say that they have, one extra day. So let me know in the chat if the text is large enough or if this is, I think this is the best probably.
This looks good.
Okay.
On my screen.
Okay. Let me know in the chat if this looks good to you. Okay. So this is the easy part, and you're about to get a crash course in Airtable. So all tweets we're going to go get the table. This is going to initialize and give us like, okay, all tweets represents the tweets table. And then actually let's start with members. I think members is more important. So what did I call that down here? I called it all members. Makes sense. All members equal base get table members. Right? It's like it's almost like plug and play almost. Appreciate that, Colleen. I'm happy the size is good. And then we're going to initialize the view. Let active members equal. Go to all members, get the view of active members. So far, I blank stare, Jay. But it's okay. This is all new.
I've never seen any of this before. This is crazy.
You're going to open up a whole new world of Airtable. And we're going to call this, oh man, I'm really bad. So all active members, does that make sense? Maybe not. Equal await. And then we want to go to active members dot select records async. I think, and that should give us all the records. We're just going to console.log that just to like see what it outputs. So this is just plug and play, right? So this is just like you do this every time.
Are we testing this right now? Is this a big moment?
Yeah. No, it's a small moment. Hopefully it works. Oh, I shouldn't have done this. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So we have an array which has the record IDs and then the records. So all active members.records gives us the primary field, the record ID, and their name. We can then get all other information about the record, right? So this gives us every single record, all the records from that table. We're going to do the exact same thing with the tweets. So let all tweets, do we have a view? We did want, so we want yesterday tweets equal all tweets dot get view, and then we want today's tweets. We should call it today tweets. That makes more sense. Today tweets, right? And let's console.log today tweets. We're like 60% of the way there.
And it's working so well.
Oh, right. We forgot to get the actual let all today tweets equal await all tweets. Today we want today tweets dot select records async. And now let's get the records. So this is going to return the records. Boom. Okay, so we have our two views, right? So we have one view with you. This is the all active members, you, myself, and a dude named Jeff. And
Dude named Jeff.
Dude named Jeff.
Dude.
Not tweeting though. He hasn't tweeted. So it's good to have someone. And then in this case, we have 3 tweets, 2 from you, and then 1 from me, right? So the output, what we want to end with is that I have 1, you have 2, and Jeff stays at 0, right? Let's see if we can do that. So this is where things get a little tricky. So what we want to do is...
This is where they get tricky.
Has this been tricky so far? This is
For
all
me,
just...
sure.
Yeah, but this is all things you have to do every time. So it's not even, I wouldn't worry about it. I feel like a lot of people are going to be like, when did automate all the things become a place where we just write scripts? But you get to a point of complexity where it's necessary. So yeah, I'm excited about this. Okay. So we want to loop through every single member and identify those. So let me kind of say this for every member. So for Jay, myself, Jeff, go into tweets and then check every tweet whether the name in this view, in the today view. So go to today's tweets and check, okay, is Aron here? So we're going to start with Jay. Is Jay? Oh, Jay is here. So that's +1. I don't care if you've tweeted 20 times or 30 times. So I need to go through each one of these and check whether there's a match on the name in today's tweets. How you write that in JavaScript or in Airtable, I guess, equivalency of JavaScript, is that we're going to start let members tweeted equal. Okay, so we're going to start with, let me just, boom, boom, boom. Just want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. Yeah, awesome. Okay. So we want to start with our members table, which is all active members. We're going to go to the records. So when you click a dot in JavaScript, that means like go to. So when you see this little object, we want to go to the records. Right, so then we're in this array, which has 3 objects in it. And we want to go ahead and filter. What this is going to do is that it's going to go through each member and find all the matches that you want. So here, I'm going to say, take every member and then do this thing. That little arrow means do this thing, right? And now I need to go ahead and filter returns all successes. That's what you need to know. Okay. You're never gonna have to write this script again, so don't worry about it if you're losing here. But if you're ever interested in learning scripts, this one's actually a really good one to start. And then we're gonna say, okay, how did I call this before? I'm really bad at naming things. We just need to check, right? So we just need to return in all today tweets, right? Go ahead and go into records and then find. So the difference between filter and find is that find will only find 1, whereas filter will find all. And what find will do is that you can give it a condition to say, okay, return all tweet. Let's give it a tweet where we got to give it another return here. where the tweet dot name is equal to 3 equals, that's the match, to member dot name. And does that make sense? Boom, boom, boom. I think that makes sense. Oh, I'm missing a bracket. There we go. Okay, let me read that back to you. If you ever want to edit this. This is going,
Yeah, please.
go to all active members one by one and return all that have a condition, right? And we're going to return in that one all the ones where the tweet is equal to the member name. So it's going to return all members where a tweet has at least one match, which is filter. That's my best way of explaining it. Let me know in the chat if that makes sense. I'm happy to answer some questions. And yeah, let's go ahead and console.log members tweeted. So I just want to read this one more time. We're going to all active. We're finding all tweets where the name is equal to the member name we're looping over. And find is only going to return once. So it's going to give us one array. And then filter will return all true. So all the ones that match. So I think we should be good. Okay, yeah, we are. So we have boom. So we have 2 objects. We have 2 objects in our array. We have you and we have me because we are the 2 that tweeted, right? Yep. So now it's actually quite easy. All we need to do is restructure this such that we have the record ID, right? So this is your record ID, this is mine. We just need to say increment days tweeted by 1. So currently days tweeted is 0 for everyone. We're saying take days tweeted and do it +1. And how you update records in Airtable, via scripting, let me go back here, edit the code, is you construct this array. You just update this to have a new days tweeted, which is +1. And then you're going to go ahead and update those records. So how we're going to do this, we're going to call this let updated members. Here, let's just go search. And it's update records async. So you need an array where the first or one of the fields is the ID, this one right here. So we're going to input that. And then fields, and those are the fields you want to update. In our case, that's going to be days tweeted. So let members update equal to, we're going to do a map. So for every, man, I feel like I'm teaching, like I'm going way over your head here, but.
I'm here for it.
Okay, good. Okay. So we're going to go through members tweeted. We're going to use a map. Map is like a way of looping and creating a new array from an existing array. So we're going to go pass in member. For every one of those member, we want the following structure. We want the ID to be equal to member.id, comma. I think we might have to do this. I'm not sure. I think so. Yeah, that makes more sense. And then, it doesn't seem to like it. Oh no, yeah, that makes sense. And then we want a fields to be another, oh no, maybe it is just ID. Like that. That makes sense. Okay. And then fields like that. Does that make sense? Doesn't seem to like it. What did I have before? Oh, I need a return. Okay, that's why. Days tweeted. Yeah, boom. So I need to actually return this. And I think it's going to be, so what did I mess up here? Map member. Oh, okay, I'm missing a bracket over here. And in, man, writing code is
so easy to be missing a bracket.
It's such a pain. Okay, and then I want to return that object. There we go. Return the object. There we go. That seems much better. And then here I want this like this. Boom. Okay. So I'm saying for every member, return an object that takes the ID from the one we're looking at and then inputs the following field. So the field that we want to update is days tweeted. Let me make sure I have that written out well. Days tweeted. Days tweeted. Go ahead.
Here's a question for you. If I were to change that column name at some point, would this days tweeted label update in the script, or would I have to update the script as well?
You would have to update the script. You don't have to update automations. You do have to update the script. And now we want member.getCellValue. So getting the existing number of days that they've tweeted, right? And this is days tweeted. We should have it as an option. Oh, it's member. There we go. Boom. Days tweeted +1. And that should create the exact same array we have here with the ID. But the difference is that you and I should have a +1 of days tweeted. We're not going to have the name because we're not passing that in. Boom. Let's console.log update members. We are so close, folks. We're so close.
This is amazing.
Here we go. Boom. Fields, days tweeted is 1. Days field is 1. So we're almost there. We haven't updated Airtable just yet. That's the last step. So the last step here is async. I'm happy that this is exciting to other people than just me.
I'm glad you're excited, Connor.
Yeah, I'm also very. If I wasn't terrified of writing code on the stream, I would also be excited. So we want to go to our active members, or no, to our table, all members. Dot update records async, and all we have to do is pass in update members. It's going to go ahead and find that ID and update the field that we wanted to. Boom. Now this is where we know that it worked. So if we test this, boom. Oh no, it's not async, it's a wait. There we go. You gotta build in some
suspense. Big money, big money, big money.
Okay, now we're gonna check.
Ran successfully.
Boom.
Boom.
There's a success
Yes.
right there. Boom.
Yes. Wow.
And this is
Wow.
gonna
So
update automatically.
Every evening, right? So
Yes.
people would expect to see this change once a day.
Yes. You could run it more, right? So if you change the formulas to be every hour, right? You could do hours, every hour, and I think it should work if you update today to hour, but then you're going to have to do an additional automation. What happens if someone tweets multiple hours? But you can fix that, I think, with a script pretty easily. So
Once a day is fine.
yeah, I think so too. So now this is all automated. So what, like looping, doing the whole thing here. If someone signs up to this form, they're automatically added to this test list. Whenever they tweet, it gets added to this active members. No, sorry. They get when they tweet. Every tweet shows up here, and then a script checks whether you've run once a day, and then updates this number. Now, some questions here, which I think are very pertinent. Okay, so Colleen asks if you have folks in different time zones, might be better to do once per day. Totally agree. You can adjust for time zone. So you can ask as input their time zone. And then in this formula, which is today, you factor in their time zone. So you can say, is their tweeted time, right, in the last 24 hours based on GMT, for instance, right? So you could do that as well. You can also, you can do whatever you want, Jay. So There were some questions around how do you do percent active and things like that. You can do that with some formulas. Yeah, that was amazing. I had a lot of fun.
Amazing. Just stupendous. One last question.
Go for it. Yeah, take
as
your time.
Something I can learn afterwards. What happens? Let's say this goes really well. I get hundreds of people who are doing this. My base is going to get massive.
Yeah.
How do I manage for that?
Yeah, a few ways. So, there are two. I think the easiest way to manage for it is to think about there's a 50,000 limit. So you're not going to get 50,000 members, but you might get a lot of tweets. So one thing you could do is once you've run this a few times, in this step, you can actually go to await all tweets .delete records async. Right? So you can delete all records that are, because there's no, you don't need to keep the records after the day. So you can delete those records in the script to say, okay, I don't need them anymore. I've updated your number. You can minimize the amount of fields that you actually track. So, base performance, yes, is a function of records, but it's also a function of fields. And one that's very consuming is today. So you may want to rethink that in a different way. Maybe Zapier could flag whether it's today or not. Right? So you can do things like that and use Zapier to your advantage as well. Once a member is no longer active, you can remove them from the list as well. That way they won't, because even if you're inactive, Airtable is still tracking tweets that you're sending out. So there's a lot of ways that you can make this much more efficient. And I hope that you will have to, because that'll mean you're super successful. But we'll it's definitely manageable.
This has been incredible.
Well, appreciate that. Hopefully, folks followed along. I know that was a little bit of a little bit of scripting, which I do a little less. But Jay, I'm really excited. I think this is such a cool workflow. I'm happy that I could contribute in some way to yours.
I'm excited. This got me all the way to the goal line. I'll be able to launch this entire project within a week now.
Amazing.
And have this be live and happening and people playing around with it, trying it out.
Awesome. Well, listen, if any folks in the chat want to participate, tweet100.com. And you will see the workflow in action. Oh, some other things. Sorry, I got carried away. What you could do is automate things from the leaderboard as well. So when they sign up, you can send them an email with a link to the list and the leaderboard. You can tweet from Zapier, right? So you can imagine if you want to at the beginning kind of encourage folks, you can hear when someone signs up to right here, which is the create here. You can add a step that you tweet from your account to welcome them. Right. Cool. Or maybe you want to do that in Airtable where you're tweet, little checkbox. You can have an automation that runs that tweet, post to Twitter from Airtable. So welcome this person once you've done a little bit of checking. So the world is your oyster, Jay. And I'm happy that I can give you a little bit of help along the way.
Dude, a lot of help. A lot of bit of help.
Amazing. Okay. Well, that's it for this week. I'm going to be off the next 2 weeks, going on a little vacation here. Appreciate all of you, Colleen, Connor, James I saw before, Jay, Steven. Really appreciate you all joining. I hope to see you back in September. I've got big plans for September and really excited to be back on the stream already. So thanks to you all. Have a great day. Jay, huge thanks to you again for coming on. And I can't wait to see this workflow in action.
Same. Thank you. Thanks everybody for joining in.
All right.